Erased Destiny. Chapter 7. Hare and Hounds. In the morning, Merigold asked Rose to collect some black mallow flowers for her. The younger sister with her basket left the house, and Merigold, who did not need these flowers at all, sat down at the table. Abella continued to complain about the fussy ruffles, the color variety, and the buttons that didn't match anything, and Ryglan was getting ready to go fishing. Finished violet horse-riding outfit was waiting for Merigold to try on, but the girl wanted first to discuss something more urgent.
Jargon's mother visited me in Sintra 3 days ago. She wanted to pay for my education in Crystal Palace. The condition is that I cannot return here unmarried. In 2 days the deadline for responding to her offer passes.
And what do you think about her proposition? And about studying magic in general? Do you really want to go to the Crystal Palace?
Abella continued to grumble, although this time it was about a heartless neighbor who saw nothing but money. Ryglan and Merigold ruminated on their thoughts. It wasn't just in appearance that they resembled each other. Sometimes they behaved in identical ways. They were irritated by the same things, and they had similar opinions about the current events.
Somehow the very thought of Joanna's money fills me with disgust. Although I would like to study in the Crystal Palace, on my terms. I am sure I can gather the required amount of silver coins in 1 year or so. It is never too late to start your education, isn't it?
Clever girl. From such people, you should not accept anything, and especially money. They give you a cup of flour, and already claim the right to dispose of you and your family.
Should I go to their residence and say that I will not leave, or is it enough to ignore the offer?
You'd better politely refuse Joanna. Do you consider marrying Jargon?
The father-daughter conversation took place in the same room as Abella's monologue, but it was going on a completely different track. And although both forms of speech dealt with the same topic, they presented quite different opinions.
Such a good boy, so nice, calm. Why'd he have to be born exactly in that family? You would have made a lovely couple. Really, you two look so nice together.
Male representatives interested Merigold far less than Rose, but even if someone forcibly forced her to marry, she was not sure she would have chosen Jargon. She was not attracted to him. They were diametrically opposed in character and approach to life, but on the other hand, they knew each other well. They were friends. The relationship with him was predictable. It did not carry the risk of alcoholism or domestic brawls.
I don't have to decide now, do I?
You don't have to. It's at least 4 years until Rosie's wedding, so you have time to meet someone to your taste.
Jargon is a great match, but more than 5 years of waiting. That's a long time for a girl. If you liked him, it might be worth waiting, but since you're not convinced about him.
Jargon is not suitable for a husband, Mom. At least at present. In 5 years he may grow into a man, but for now I would take the extra trouble. He is a spoiled child, unable to do anything on his own. He listens to his parents in everything. Do you really think that I should marry someone like that, even if he is rich?
In order not to continue discussing her emotional life, Merigold changed her clothes and left the house. She rode up to Jargon's house on horseback, although she would have arrived just as quickly on foot. She entered the yard through the open gate just as Jargon was arguing with Joanna about moving out to the vineyard.
I am sorry, but I need to refuse the offer. Thank you.
She looked Jargon in the eye. With her whole self, she tried to convey to him that she needed to talk to him. Before Joanna could respond to the statement, Merigold took to the road. She headed towards Sintra, but stopped just outside the village. She listened for the sound of horses' hooves. Jargon did not hear his friend's thoughts, but understood her request. He threw the sack of saplings on the mare's back and took a seat in the saddle himself.
Where are you going? To the vineyard. I have some vines to plant. I'll be back for dinner. Hopefully. This vineyard was your idea, Mother, so why are you angry?
For the second time in 5 minutes, a surprised Joanna didn't know what to answer. and Jargon left the house just as quickly as Merigold had just left. They hadn't had a chance to talk for a long time. Either someone overheard them, or they were in a hurry, or the place was not comfortable enough. This time, they were alone in the field, and neither of them rushed to urgent tasks. Joanna returned home. She sat for some time in the dining room, but couldn't calm herself down. She had to do something, but what? How to protect Jargon and their family business? Suddenly, she found a solution. She knocked to the door of Cyril's studio.
Unbelievable. That is simply impossible.
What did happen?
Can you imagine that Merigold passed near our house? She merely greeted us and Jargon jumped on his horse and without a word followed her. I called his name, but he didn't answer. Is this magic or what?
Cyril looked at clearly upset Joanna. Her face was more red. Her lips shaked and her fists were clenched. Could Merigold really hypnotize Jargon? Cyril didn't know much about magic, tried to avoid it as much as possible whole his life, so he didn't know the answer to this question.
Did you notice something more? Maybe Merigold said something unusual or made a strange gesture.
No, I didn't pay attention to her. I was in the middle of conversation with Jargon and was looking at him. But his eyes, they become darker and, how to name it, more vivid. He looked at her and that's all.
We should consult a healer. Let me check. Yes, unfortunately the closest one that specializes in magical ailments resides in Astra. That is quite a trip. But if there is such need, I will take Jargon there.
Did you notice that he lost his appetite? He is so absent, sad. I got worried, so I took him to Radagast. It looks like physically Jargon is fine. I don't know what to do.
Cyril calculated potential costs and risks. Accusing Merigold of using forbidden magic would result in inspection of Jargon's health. Even if Cyril was wrong, the only cost was that of healer's work, for which Cyril had to pay either way. No traveling, no waste of time.
I have an idea. If it doesn't work, we will travel to Astra. Please don't worry.
Thank you. Oh, Jargon, why did we agree to your playing with that girl?
Cyril read the procedure of issuing a complaint regarding misuse of magic, and Joanna went to the living room. To relax, she played on lyre. She trusted Cyril would find a way to dispose of Merigold and peace would return to their manor. Seeing Jargon, Merigold pretended that she was riding to Sintra and stopped only for a moment. The adjusted outfit was comfortable and looked great. Abella used black material in places that were too narrow, what made it look even better than before.
Have you built a vineyard yet?
Well, yes. From the outside. Inside, there's still some work to be done, but it's livable. When it comes to growing vines, I still have a long way to go. Only 5-year-old vines produce decent grapes.
Here's your chance to produce wine for your own wedding.
Merigold said too much. Lately, everyone around her was talking about relationships. Rose, her parents and Merigold involuntarily started thinking about it too.
What did you refuse?
I don't know if I should tell you.
In the past we had no secrets from each other. I'm sorry that you don't trust me anymore.
That is not it. I don't want to hurt you. I think you won't like what your mother did.
Merigold shook her head. She struggled to put into words what had happened.
Whatever it is, I want to know. Please, Goldie, tell me.
You see, I'm more magical than one would think. I want to study at the Crystal Palace.
That's not a bad thing. Since you have a talent for magic, you should develop it. What does my mother have to do with this?
After a moment's hesitation, Merigold placed her hand on Jargon's forehead. Her horse watched the road on its own. Patch knew perfectly well where they were going, because she traveled this route every day.
Stream of consciousness. Do you see something? A visit of your mother?
I see. You are more magical than me. Mind magic is very difficult and you are able to use it.
Merigold kept an eye on her thoughts to make sure Jargon didn't see more than she wanted to show him. Her conversations with her parents, for example. She broke the connection as soon as the imaginary Joanna left Amanda's house.
It hurts.
I am sorry. I am not used to mind magic yet.
No, not your spell, Goldie. I have only one friend, namely you, and my own mother tries to ruin it. Why? I don't understand. To pay you for leaving me alone? I don't know what to say. Except of that I am really thankful to you. That you chose me over 60 silvers.
In silence, they arrived at the newly built vineyard, each immersed in their own thoughts. Jargon tied his mare to a post in front of the entrance, and Merigold let her horses loose.
There is no stable, gate or fence yet. But the cellars with the empty wine barrels are ready. What would you like to see?
To look at it like this. I've never been to a vineyard. And where are the vines?
On the hill behind the building. This year they look miserable. They have just begun to grow.
They walked around the wooden structure, which did not resemble country houses, more like town villas, although instead of climbing up, the vineyard spread out horizontally. The spacious, two-winged building could accommodate up to 20 people.
Who will live here?
Well, me. Why do you ask?
On the other side, on the sunny slope of a small hill, wooden and rope structures were spread out to support the vine shoots. Merigold ran up to the creamy railing. The first blue plums were ripening on the nearby trees. The wind pleasantly cooled the sun-warmed bodies, and Merigold's horses sprinted among the bushes, trampling everything in their path.
Disintegration. I am sorry. I didn't think.
That's okay. Don't worry. Do you like it here?
It is so beautiful. Perfect. Did you design it all yourself?
For the most part. I also helped with the construction. I planted the grapes. The trees, of course, grew here before. The owner of the orchard died and we took over the land. So before I produce the first bottle of wine, I invite you to have some fruit.
Jargon looked up. Merigold's violet outfit flashed between the branches. The friend did not wait for the invitation. She had already started climbing the nearest plum tree as she spoke.
What if I stayed here, bought a piece of land? Will you build a house for me too?
Of course. What kind of house would you like? A wooden one? Stone maybe?
A tree house, so that nothing would eat me nor no one would attack me while I was sleeping.
She jumped down to the ground with her palms full of plums. She sat down on the grass and Jargon next to her. Suddenly, Merigold jumped on her legs. She remembered that she still needs to visit the library. She summoned her horses again.
I have to go. Thank you for your hospitality and for the plumes.
Shall I see you off?
No need. I'll drop by again sometime. You really built a beautiful vineyard.
She left, and Jargon stayed under the plum tree. He had achieved something he was really proud of. Merigold appreciated him, but he still felt an emptiness in his heart. He had the feeling that they were growing further apart with each passing day. That even if he ran after Merigold as fast as he could, he would no longer catch up with her. He looked at the saplings waiting in the bag, and then again at the road Merigold had taken away.